It's Nolan.
Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Yeah, lot of controversy that do not disturb me. Got dreams of a million, you cannot defer me. Got a ring on my finger, I retired my jersey. Fuck, nigga, y'all suck like the plot of Kirby. I'm him. All black on the scene, doing me high. No, I got the game covered like knee highs. I be killing on my foes like FIFA. Flows on kit like FIFA. Fila, E-I-O. Green on me like G.I. Joe. Hold my chest like a peacock glow. Southside nigga with an east side hoe. Hitting at the chicken number 3 combo. Type of nigga lead EB, John Doe, 3D, Camp Creek on the creek, zone 4 with a nigga play street. Leaving chicks on the floor, can't speak no more. First verse in surgery, it's only me versus me. Nobody else hurting me. I burn niggas to the 3rd degree. Like Jazz O, niggas certainly. The best nigga that rap, I don't mean just virtually. These are the 4 Joe worker bees. I flex up like Hercules. I hit a nigga in the shit so hard that it hurt to sneeze. It's Nolan.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there on this Thursday afternoon. News has just come my way. I don't know if y'all are aware of it, but Megan Thee Stallion has filed a massive filing in this restraining order request from against Tory Lanez. Within this filing, they also have more documentation about the payments that have been distributed to Milagro, and not just that little graph that we saw before, but more direct to show that they've actually gone in the system and found these payments due to subpoenas and things that they were able to obtain. Megan Thee Stallion also has multiple domestic violence groups that are basically co-signing her request for a restraining order, women's groups and things of that nature. The filing is nearly 289 pages, almost 300 pages long with material. So this is going to be a long video. This is basically for the hotties and for people that are just interested in this case and how it's going to turn out as far as like established musicians in the industry going up against people such as like a Milagro or a content creator who has utilized their platform for harassment and things of that nature. Plus, of course, the ongoing situation between herself and Tory Lanez. We thought that this had already been resolved. We thought that, you know, him getting convicted, serving jail time, being sentenced to 10 years, that was going to be, you know, somewhat the end of it, other than him trying to file for appeals. But basically, again, due to the connection between Tory and Milagro and Tory's dad, etc., the payments that have been made, the ongoing narrative going up against Megan, besmirching her name, calling her out of her name, questioning her intelligence, questioning her cognitive abilities, questioning whether or not she was sleeping with her manager, questioning whether or not that said manager was also dating Megan's mother while she was alive, right? All of these different things and narratives that have been tossed around. So Megan is firing back with all of this stuff, the deep fake video, which really was the straw that broke the camel's back for all of this to come into fruition. Again, a massive filing. This is going to take a while to get through, but this is what we've been waiting on, is to see like how this is going to play out. So as of this morning, this massive filing has been sent in. We might as well get to it because it's a lot to get to. All right. Y'all get your snack, you know what I'm saying? If you're out grabbing lunch, just let it motherfucker play. Hook it up to the speaker in the car, the Bluetooth, whatever you got to do, man. We're going to be here for a second. Give me a second, though. All right. Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan LLP. Miss Mari Henderson is, this is her declaration in support of plaintiff Megan Pete's petition for a civil harassment restraining order. Again, this is against Daystar Peterson, professionally known as Tory Lanez. All right. I, Mari F. Henderson, declares as follows. I am a partner at the law firm of Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan, LLP, counsel of record for Megan P. in the above captioned action. I am a member in good standing of the State Bar of California. I have personal knowledge of the facts set forth in this declaration and, if called as a witness, could and would testify competently to such facts under oath. Okay, so she's, coming out saying she's the legal counsel in this situation, and she is willing to come out at the risk of, her career, everything, to come and testify if needed. Attached here too as Exhibit 21 is a true and correct copy of the October 13th, 2020 protective order issued in the criminal case People v. Daystar Peterson, case number blah, 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 held before the Honorable David Hereford of the Los Angeles Superior Court, Sierra Shortage Foltz, Criminal Justice Center. The protective order prohibited Mr. Peterson from harassing Miss Pete, having personal electronic, telephone, or written contact with Miss Pete, contacting Miss Pete through a third party, and coming within 100 yards of Miss Pete. So they're verifying that there was, in fact, a restraining order that Megan obtained against Tory back in 2020, right? So it shouldn't be outside the question that they would get this again when there seems to be some sort of third party contact coming into fruition, right? Attached here too as Exhibit 22 is a true and correct copy of the court's denial of Mr. Peterson's motion to modify the protective order in the criminal case. So he tried to file his own motion. It was denied. Attached as Exhibit 23 is a true and correct copy of a certified transcript of Miss Pete's December 13, 2022 testimony in the criminal trial. Attached here too as Exhibit 24 is a true and correct copy of the felony abstract of judgment in the criminal case showing Mr. Peterson's conviction for 3 felony counts. 1, assault with a semi-automatic handgun. For anybody going up for this man, this is what he got convicted for. So people coming out saying he didn't go to jail for pow-powing Megan. Here are the felony counts again. 1, assault with a semi-automatic handgun. Assault with the gun. The same gun y'all claim his fingerprints ain't on. That same thing. 2, carrying a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle. And 3, discharging a firearm with gross negligence. All right. So 2 of the 3 counts in which he is in jail currently are for firing a handgun. I will continue. Attached here too as Exhibit 25 is a true and correct copy of the Register of Actions in the criminal case, which reflects the court's gag order issued against Mr. Peterson following his violation of the protective order. So he violated her original restraining order. They issued a gag order against him. As to the gag order, on April 5th, 2022, the court ordered that Mr. Peterson not mention anything regarding complaining witness or anything about the case directly or indirectly on any social media or any public statement. Okay? So he was barred from speaking about Megan or speaking about the situation in any fashion, right? In a public forum. Attached here too as Exhibit 26 is a true and correct copy, of a certified transcript of an October 30th, 2024 call between Mr. Peterson and Caesar McDowell, co-founder and CEO of Unite the People Incorporated, the nonprofit organization whose legal team is representing Mr. Peterson in this matter and in his criminal appeal. During the call, Mr. McDowell reads to Mr. Peterson a draft of the public statement Unite the People ultimately issued regarding the representation of Milagro Elizabeth Cooper in the lawsuit brought against her by Megan Pete. Mr. Peterson approves the public statement before it is published. So they have proof of Tory's knowledge of Unite the People, that guy going and representing Milagro, and of course the public statement that was released. Tory was brought in the loop. He knows all about it. So the thing here is, if Milagro is operating off of her own individual interests as far as her opinion of Megan Thee Stallion, her thoughts of Megan Thee Stallion, her criticisms of Megan Thee Stallion, they're drawing a connection between them because they're all looped in together. Or at least that's how it appears to me as a non-legal professional, you know? So I got to throw that out there for people now. Attached here too is Exhibit 27 is a true and correct copy of the certified transcript of a November 7th, 2024 call between Mr. Peterson and Mr. McDowell and an individual referred to as Dwayne. During this call, Dwayne asked Mr. Peterson, "So you got a write-up for the knee case and the phone, right?" Mr. Peterson replies, "Two. There's two different write-ups on the phone. It's possession of one, and then the other one is constructive possession of one because they got me on a picture." Attached here too as Exhibit 28 is a true and correct copy of a history of Zelle transaction information reflecting payments from Daystar Peterson's father, Sunstar Carlisle Peterson, to Mob Radio LLC, Milagro Cooper's podcast platform, okay? So these are not gift payments, right? Because they're paying it to her business. So I guess they're trying to draw the connection between the transactions and going to her platform where she publicly bashes Megan, right? She says, "I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California that the foregoing is true and correct, executed on January 8th. So Exhibit 21 here, this is the original, I believe the original motion for protective order, right? Criminal protective order filed under domestic violence, October 13th, 2020, right? Defendant Daystar Peterson. And this is, of course, on behalf of Megan Thee Stallion. So I saw somebody earlier saying, "Oh, why is she getting domestic violence people behind her? She didn't even want to claim him." Okay. But we do know they were romantic, and we do know that there was a violent, you know what I'm saying, interaction. So let's not be dumb, right? We've gone through some of this before, but they say he must not have any personal contact, electronic contact, can't come within 100 yards, all of those things, right? And they say the protected person may record any prohibited communications made by the restrained person. I think that's a very vital piece here because Megan has been recording for some time. Okay? This page here are warnings and notices giving Tory Lanez and his legal counsel the legal grounds to show if he violates this protective order, what can come, you know? They say violation of this order is subject to criminal prosecution, among other things. They also say any person subject to a protective order is prohibited from owning, possessing, purchasing, or attempting to purchase, receiving, or attempting to receive, or otherwise obtaining a firearm. Right? So we're not going to go through all of that, but that's the original protective order that Megan received from the state of California. Here, February 25th, 2021, people of California versus Daystar Peterson. This is order motion to modify the protective order. Okay? And this is where he was denied. Because they already described what we're seeing. This here. People of California versus Daystar Peterson. This is December 13th, 2022. Upon the above date, the defendant, Daystar Peterson, not being present in court and being represented by counsel George Megadezian and Sarkis Manukian, attorneys at law, the people being represented by Kathy T.A., blah, blah, blah. The court. So this looks like a transcript. People, call your next witness. Thank you. Call Megan Pete. The clerk, witness is sworn. Yes. Please have a seat in the witness stand. So this is when Megan was called to the stand. Direct examination. Good morning, Miss Pete. This is Megan says, good morning. Is it all right if I call you Megan? She says, yes. May I ask if you know someone by the name of Daystar Peterson? She says, yes. At any point during my questioning, if you need a moment, please let me know. She nods in confirmation. All right. Do you see him here in court today? She says, yes. Could you please point to where he's located and what he's wearing? She says, a white shirt and a tan jacket. Witness has identified the defendant. All right. She says, how do you know him? She says, we used to be friends. Do you know him by any other name besides Daystar Peterson? She says, Tory Lanez. Now, you said you used to be friends with him. How long have you known him? Before July 12th of 2020. She says, not that long. I'm pretty sure I just met him that year. Okay, so all of this happened very fast. In your honor, may I approach for a moment? Yes, Miss TA, I'll move the microphone a little closer to you. She nods in confirmation. How would you describe your relationship during that time that you knew him? She said, I felt like we got close. We used to hang out all the time. We drink together, go to parties together, just hang out. They asked, did you bond in any way besides just like partying and hanging out? She says, yeah, honestly, when my mom died, I felt like I was just looking for people to fill in the void, like a family that I was trying to create. And when I talked to him, I felt like he was somebody that I could trust. I felt like he was somebody that I wanted to be friends with, somebody I could feel comfortable with, felt like we had a lot in common. They asked, did they talk about those things? She said, yes. They asked if she was intimate with him. She says, yes. They asked if she was exclusive with him. She said, no. Intimate, no. But she just said that she was intimate with him, so that's a confirmation. Okay. Now, do you know someone by the name of Kelsey Harris? Of course, that's Megan's former best friend. They say, how do you know Kelsey? Kelsey was my best friend. You say she was your best friend. She nods in the affirmative. Has that relationship changed? Yes. How long did you know her for? She says, I've known Kelsey since my freshman year in college, 2013, 2014. Okay, so they have been friends up until that point, about 7 years. And besides being your friend, did you also have another type of professional relationship with her? She said, I hired her to be my assistant. How long was she your assistant? Probably since the end of 2019. So clearly she wasn't the assistant for very long. Now, when she became your assistant, could you explain how that arrangement worked out? She says she just came with her everywhere and helped her out. Did she ever stay with you or live with you? She says, Is that a yes? She says yes. They ask, let me just quickly go into this. What do you do for a living? She says, I'm a rapper. Part of your job would contain traveling? She says, yes. Back in 2019, 2020, were you traveling and Kelsey was with you? She says, yes. When you would travel with Kelsey, was she always staying with you? She says, yes. How would you describe your relationship with Kelsey before July 12th of 2020? She says, we were best friends. We did everything together. We were always together. Question now, I'm going to fast forward a little. July 12th, 2020. Do you remember the night? Yes. Tell us a little bit more about whether or not you did some things. You went somewhere. She said, I went to a party. Where was this party? At Kylie Jenner's house. About what time did you say you went there? She says she doesn't remember. Was it early evening, late evening? She says it was early evening. Did you go there with anywhere else? She said, yes, it was me, Kelsey, and our friend EJ. Who is EJ to you? He's my stylist. How did you get to Kylie Jenner's house? EJ took us. When you got there, what happened? We started hanging out. Everybody was drinking. Went in the kitchen for a little while. I was cooking while everybody was still out drinking. And then I brought the food out. And then we just continued to party. They asked if this was a big gathering, huge party. She says, no, it was a small group of people. They ask, okay, I'm going to have you do one little favor. Allow me to finish asking you the question before you fully answer so we're not talking over each other. That's for the court reporter. She says, okay. They ask, is she nervous? She says she doesn't feel good. She say, you don't feel good about being here? Megan says, no, I can't believe I have to come up here and do this. Next question. Okay, so when you got to the house, who else was there? Do you remember? She says, I don't remember. Corey was there. Kylie was there. It was a few of Kylie's friends. When you say Corey, is that Corey Gamble? She says, They ask if that's a yes. She confirms. When you got to the house with Kelsey and EJ, you said you were hanging out. Is that right? Is that a yes? She confirms. And as you were hanging out and the night wore on at some point, do you know if the defendant had arrived at this party? She says, yes, I told him to come. You told him to come. How did you tell him? She says she texted him. Do you know about what time it was? She said it was really late. Not sure exactly what time it was, but it was really late. And at this time, everybody was already gone. And it was just me, Kylie, Tory, Kelsey, and that's it. So even with him being present at Kylie Jenner's house, he received the invite from Megan. Now, Kelsey, when the defendant arrived to the party, where was Kelsey? Do you know? She says, I don't really know where she was. She was there, but I just don't remember exactly where. Once the defendant arrived at the party, what happened? She says, we all got in the pool. Then I felt like Kelsey came in and got in the pool. We got out of the pool, but I hadn't realized that my hair had started to look crazy. My hair started to come off and I was ready to go. Okay, they say when you say it was coming off, you were wearing, she says she was wearing a wig. It was started to slip. She was ready to go. All right. So when you were ready to go, did you say to anyone that you wanted to leave? She says, I told everybody that I wanted to go. Now, do you know how the defendant arrived to the party? She says his driver, Jaquan, dropped him off. Did Jaquan ever make it inside? Jaquan didn't come inside. Now, once you wanted to leave, you let everyone know that you wanted to leave. What happened then? She says Tory wasn't ready to leave, and I told Jaquan to just take us home. He said he wasn't leaving without Tory. Okay? So there's some of y'all already know this story, know how this thing panned out. Probably have already seen this transcript before, but they're including all of this just for additional details to secure this protective order that's currently being requested, right? But some people don't really know or remember all of the specifics of this thing, so I'm not actually mad about this, right? So Jaquan could have easily taken Megan and Kelsey home without Tory, and none of this would have ever happened, but he said he refused to leave without him. Okay, now, you said you went and told Jaquan. Where was Jaquan when you told him? He was outside the house. You went outside, told Jaquan that you wanted to leave. She says, What did Jaquan do? He said he wasn't leaving without Tory. Then what happened? He said if we convince Tory to leave, then he'll take us. What happened next? Tory didn't want to go. I kept going back and forth with Jaquan about leaving, and he kept saying, I'm not taking you if Tory is not getting in this car. So we had to wait until finally when Tory was ready to go. He didn't want to leave. He had an attitude. We finally all got in the car and left. Now, when you say we all got in the car, who's that? Me, Tory, Kelsey, and Quan. They ask what happened to EJ. EJ left. Do you remember when EJ left? She doesn't remember exact time. Now, when you got into the car, what was Tory's mood like at that point? She says he had attitude. Did he say why he had an attitude? She said he had an attitude because he wasn't ready to leave. Now, do you know why he wasn't ready to leave? We get an objection here. Did Tory ever tell you why he didn't want to leave the party? She says no. And Kylie, does she stay at the house? She says yes. And when you left the party, do you remember where everybody was seated? She says Quan was driving. I was in the passenger. Kelsey and Tory were in the back. Do you remember where Kelsey was in the back seat passenger area? Was she behind you or was she behind? She says Kelsey was behind her. Tory behind Quan. Okay, they ask what's next. Tory says, you need to stop lying to your friend. Interesting. Like he had an attitude. And for whatever reason, he came out saying, you need to stop lying to your friend. And because I knew Kelsey had a crush on Tory, crush on Tory. Not that she was with Tory. She had a crush on Tory. I never wanted to hurt her feelings. And I didn't want her to know that I had dealt with him in any kind of way. So he knew I didn't want her to know that. I didn't want anybody to know that. So when he came out saying, can you stop lying to your friend? Now Kelsey got an attitude because he's implying now that we're both hiding something from her. Okay. So because Tory didn't want to leave the party, he gets in the car with an attitude and he say, you know what? You fucking up my night. So I'm finna fuck up yours. Right. But remember, Kelsey just has a crush on the guy. So is this how the argument starts in the car? Is that right? She says he already had an attitude, but I don't remember exactly what was going back and forth about. But when he said that made everybody start getting into an argument. Okay. Now, when everybody started getting into an argument, you mentioned Kelsey was involved. What was Kelsey's reaction? Megan said she was angry. She was like, what are you talking about? Who lying about what? When you say she's angry, was it directed at anyone or was it just a situation? She says, I think she was just, objection comes in. Objection! Court stenographer, could we slow down just a little bit? The court, Miss Pete, she's writing down everything you're saying. Speak a little slower if you can. Okay? So Miss TA says, so you say Tory, Kelsey seems to be getting angry. What about Tory at this point? She says he's angry too. What else is he saying? If you remember, she says, I don't remember exactly how it started to escalate, but now Tory is calling me and Kelsey out our name. We bitches and hoes. So now me and Kelsey are arguing with Tory. They ask at some point, did you get out the car? She says, yes, I asked to be let out. When asked to get out of the car, did Jaquan pull over? She says, yes. Did you get out? Yes. Do you know where that was? She says, Main Street in LA. I feel like it's Sunset or Hollywood. Don't know what the name of the important street is, but I get out and I realize, oh my God, like I'm literally in the peak of being so famous right now, and I have on a thong and I look crazy. And anybody see me walking down the street looking like this, it's going to look bad for me. So I decide after they're telling me to get back in the car, I'll get back in. Okay? So at this point, when you first get out of the car, do you have your phone on you? She says, I don't think I have anything on me. I feel like my phone was dying, or if it wasn't already dead. They say, do you remember anything about this particular stop that you made? Point of reference, was there something there? Bus stop? She says, yes. So you got back in the car. What happens next? Says the argument's still going. Tory and Kelsey really screaming to the top of their lungs at each other. What are you saying? They ask. She says, I don't exactly remember. At that point, were you really involved with the argument between them? She says, no, I'm over it. I don't want to be in the argument no more. What happens next? She asked to be let out once again. Now, when you got back in the car, did Jaquan drive you anywhere? She says, yes. He went down some side street. We were like maybe 5 minutes away from the house I was staying at. And at this point, I was like, maybe I can make it there. At least I'll be away from this argument. I'm close enough. I could walk. When I get out of the car, I start walking away from the car, and I can hear Tory say, dance, bitch. And I don't have to turn all the way. I don't have to use my feet to turn around. I could literally turn like this. I guess she's showing physically how she turned herself around, probably looking back. And I could see him with the gun, she says. So she looks back and she sees Tory pointing a gun at her. That's her testament. Objection! All right, answer remains. Ask next question. So you're mentioning you're walking away from the car, and as you're walking away, you turned your head a little bit. Is that right? She says, yes. What could you hear or see at that point? She said, Tory with the gun. He's saying, dance, bitch, and I froze, and I'm thinking if I move, objection! I'm thinking if I move. Next question. All right. After you're thinking to yourself, if I move, what else are you thinking? She says she's in shock. She's scared. She hears the gun going off. She can't believe he's shooting at her. Now, when you say you saw Tory with the gun, what exactly did you see him doing? She said she saw him holding it, pointing it at her. They say, could you see in what direction? Was he pointing up right at you? She says, as soon as I saw him with the gun and I heard the gun, I just froze. Now, could you see where he was standing? She says, yes. Where is he standing? On the passenger side of the car. Now, when you got out of they say, let's go back a bit. You got out at the bus stop. You go back into the car. You went back into the car. Where was everybody seated? Same place. So you're in the front passenger seat. Yes. Is Tory behind Jaquan? Yes. Is Kelsey behind you still? Yes. Sounds like you got out the car a second time. That's confirmed. After Jaquan drove some distance. Is that right? Correct. Okay. They say, are you familiar with the area? She says, no. Now, I think you mentioned that you were close to home. What does she mean? What does home mean? She says, well, close to the house I was staying at. And how long? And I think that's also key, right? Because some people say, oh, Megan had a house in LA. Well, she keeps saying the house she's staying at. So that doesn't mean that she owned the home, which is also relevant to that Emilio Cucci case. Just because she was staying there doesn't mean that she owned property there, right? They say how long, but I recognize where I am. I would need a GPS to get there. Now, how long have you been in and out of LA right before this happened? She said, I've been there for a while. Were you staying with Kelsey at the time? She says Kelsey was in Houston for a large portion of this time. At some point before this night on July 12th, had Kelsey come out to stay with you? She says Kelsey had just came back maybe 2 days before this happened. Okay, so Kelsey has a crush on Tory. Megan and Tory are acquainted. They're still in LA. They're hanging out with each other, going to parties, doing all this stuff. I'm not surprised that they had a link up. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like the story has been greatly exaggerated in terms of Kelsey's connection to Tory Lanez, which I've always said, but I've never actually read this whole transcript and stuff. So this is news to me, low key. And they say, was she staying with you? That's confirmed. So going back to when you get out the car the second time, you get out the front passenger, you mentioned you were walking away. Where are you walking away exactly? Are you walking in the direction of heading towards the back of the vehicle or heading towards the front? She says the front. As you're walking away, you turn. You say you see Tory shooting a gun. She says yes. After he said dance bitch, she keeps quoting that. Now you mentioned he was standing on the passenger side. Do you recall if he was standing towards closer the rear passenger or the front passenger? She says, I don't remember. Do you remember if he was standing on the ground? She said, I felt like he was standing on objection. Well, did you see where he was standing? She said he was standing on the passenger side of the car. Could you tell if he was on the ground? She says, I feel like he was standing on something. They object to what she feels. They ask if that's based on what she saw. She says yes. What makes you think he might have been standing on something? She says because his arm was over the car window like he was higher than normal. So, of course, he's not that tall, but he looked taller than he normally was. They ask how tall he is, maybe 5'3", 5'4". So as his hand is over the car window, do you remember which car window that was? Was that the front or the passenger rear? She says she don't remember. Then what happens after you see him firing those rounds? She said she froze. Did you feel anything? She just felt shock. She felt hurt, but she wasn't really sure if this was actually happening. She looked down at her feet. She saw blood. She dropped to the ground. Now everybody's screaming. He looks shocked. Kelsey looks shocked. Jaquan is shocked. Everybody's shocked as she crawls into a driveway. They say, did you see where Kelsey was at the time? She says, I didn't look at Kelsey. I just saw Tory. When you fell to the ground, did you fall right there at the moment that you felt like you had been shot, or did you move anywhere? She says, I stayed right there. What happened? She crawled to the driveway. Now, the driveway you crawled to, was that across the street from where you were at? She says, I was in front of a truck. The house was to the left, and I crawled to the driveway of the house that was to the left of the truck. They say, why did you go in that direction? She says, because if I would have went anywhere else, it was too dark, and where was I going to go? I was hurt. So when you crawled to the driveway, were you still bleeding? She says, yes. Could you feel pain? Yes. Where did you feel the pain? In feet, both feet. Okay, from there, it gets blurry. She says, I see Kelsey walking towards me, but I also see Tory walking towards me. And what I remember is it looked like they bumped into each other. Then Kelsey, we get another objection. You saw them appear to bump into each other. Witness says, yes, that's Megan. Objection overruled. She gets to continue to answer. Do you remember anything else besides bumping into each other as far as what happened between Tory and Kelsey? She says, no. Do you remember if any words were exchanged? She says, at this point, I'm in shock. I can't even hear. Excuse me. Everything feels blurry. That answer is stricken from the record due to objection. Okay? Do you recall hearing or seeing anything else between Tory and Kelsey at that point? She says, no, I wasn't looking at them no more. I'm looking at my feet. What about Jaquan? Do you remember where he was? She says, no, going back to the car right before you got out the second time. What were some of the last words exchanged between either you, Tory, or Kelsey? She says, Tory was just basically telling me how I was a shit. Wasn't shit. And I just told him, actually, you just not shit. And this is where you at in your career. And this is where you at with your music. And I felt like that really rubbed him the wrong way. Did he react in any way? When you said this, he just kept yelling and cursing. What was the last exchange that occurred before you got out between me and him? Yes, the last series of exchanges in that car. Said your music ain't shit, nigga. Remix ass nigga. The last series of exchanges in that car during the argument, where would you say Kelsey was? Was Tory going after you and Kelsey? She says yes, he was attacking us. So after you're bleeding on the ground, you crawled to a driveway, going to show what's been marked as People's 7. Take a look at the screen. What is this? She says that's the driveway. Going to show you what looks like red stains. Do you know what that is? She says blood. It's my blood. Okay. And while you were walking all the way to this driveway, was there a trail? Yes. Objection overruled. Were you bleeding the whole time as you were crawling over? Yes. All right. While you're in the driveway, what happened? She's crying. What about Tory? Did he do or anything? She said he started apologizing. How about Kelsey? Was she apologizing? Yes. So what is Tory saying to you? I don't remember anything he was saying to me in the moment, but when we got into the car and we heard the police sirens, now he's saying, please don't say anything. I'll give y'all $1 million. Okay. So this is an attempt to bribe. I can't go to jail. I already got caught with a gun before. Don't tell on me. Now, when you're in the driveway, what is Kelsey doing? She's trying to help me. She's crying too. Did you go back in the car? Yes. Why? Because I felt like if they could just get me to my manager, he would know what to do. You said something about wearing a bikini, a thong, right? She says yes. How about Kelsey and Tory? Kelsey was in a swimsuit. When you got back in the car, where was everybody seated? She says now at this point she's in the back seat. Kelsey's in the back seat. Tory's in the front passenger where she was previously at. Jaquan's still driver. What happens in the car? He's apologizing. He's asking us not to tell. When you say us, who's he talking to? Tory's asking me and Kelsey not to tell. What's he saying exactly? The witness, I'll give y'all $1 million if you don't say anything. I can't go to jail no more. I'm already on probation. They say, what's your reaction to that? She says, I don't even think I said anything back because in my head I'm thinking, how can you be asking me not to tell on you? Like, why are you not worried about how I am? You just shot me. How's Kelsey in the car at this point? Okay. What is Kelsey's demeanor? She's shaking up. When you say shaking up, how can you tell? Because we both crying. Is Tory now exchanging any words? She says no. As soon as we got back in the car, it wasn't long till the police came. How much time passed after the shooting? I don't know exactly how much time passed, but it felt like a minute, if that. How about Jaquan? He's quiet. So we're giving this whole transcript recounting the night in question just to show, the violent activity that transpired, and why this is such a severe thing. What happens when the police arrive and stop the car? They ask us all to get out. Before the police ask you to get out, is Tory saying anything? Just telling me not to say nothing. When you get back in the car, did you see what happened to the gun? No. Did you ever see Kelsey with the gun? No. Did you see Kelsey ever handle the gun? No. Have you ever seen the gun before? No. Did you know Tory to have guns? Objection. Did you know he had a gun that night? Megan says no. Did you have injuries besides ones on your feet? No. Okay. Do you remember what happened when you were ordered out the car? She said I had to have my hands in the air. They asked me to walk backwards. We've literally seen that on tape. What happened? I don't remember everything that was happening. Were you in the car? Were you still bleeding? Yes. Did you try to keep it from getting worse? Were you trying to cover it up? She says, I don't have anything. I was just in a bikini. Were you bleeding in the car everywhere? Yes. When you got out of the car because police told you, were you still bleeding? Yes. All right. She had her hands up. She was handcuffed to the gurney after police got her. So now they have some exhibits. They're asking her about the blood. I'm going to try to get through some of this. All right. So now we have documentation here as of August 16th, 2023. This is what looks like. It says felony abstract of judgment. Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez. They have felony abstract judgment, prison commitment. Here they have a listing of ADV, semi-automatic firearm, have a concealed firearm in a vehicle not registered, discharge of firearm with gross negligence. Those charges I told y'all. They say time imposed 4 years to prison. Total time at the bottom here says 10. So here it says the total aggregate state prison term is 10 years. Defendant is given credits of 231 days plus 40 days of house arrest plus 34 days good time work for a total of 305 days credit. So he had almost a year time served toward his 10-year commitment. Defendant is instructed by the court that he or she is prohibited from owning, purchasing all these different things, any firearms. And again, I believe all of this is just detailing the violent history of Tory and Megan's relationship. This is the transcript of Tory Lanez talking to Caesar McDowell. Tory says, yeah. He says, and then get the blank because ain't no lawyers going to know what these niggas know, right? He says, yeah. So then we going to get the whole plan mapped out. Then we going to call the lawyer in, okay? Listen, this is what we doing. We're going to talk to you first, blah, 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 blah. We'll call the lawyer in, okay? This is the plan. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to need the motherfuckers to drive up to the DA's office, all that shit, and make the motherfucker blank. We can get all these niggas in, and that's kind of tight, and that we're doing something for prisoners. It's not that. It's just like it's the fact that, yo, we're doing something that is revolutionary, and this company is the first company to ever do it. And it's just like the story is just so crazy. Like, imagine we shoot a movie on your life, nigga, and it's just like blank this and knowing me to this David and Goliath. We're pulling at Goliath, nigga. And it's just like we're all just coming with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting the information. Let me read it to you. So it says, Unite the People, Inc. agrees to represent. This is the media release for tomorrow. Unite the People, Inc. agrees to represent Milagro Cooper. So this is the actual transcript of the call confirming that Tory knows that Caesar McDowell from Unite the People will be moving forward with rocking with Milagro, right? And remember, Tory just said a few minutes ago, you got the media, right? Unite the People agrees to represent Milagro Cooper against threats and intimidation targeting influencers for expressing their opinions in the civil matter fired by now claimant Megan Pete. It says that in the headline. There's a recent filing from Megan Pete, an individual plaintiff whose name is Milagro Elizabeth Cooper, an individual as a defendant. Unite the People, Inc. is a nonprofit law firm that promotes social justice throughout the United States, as well as provide affordable legal services to the underserved community, as well as multiple other services, i.e. mentoring programs for disadvantaged youth, empowering young women, mentoring programs, assisting the homeless, veterans, transitional housing, etc. It just tells a little about the company, right? And then it says Milagro Elizabeth Cooper has been served a lawsuit making a lot of false claims against her professional conduct in an attempt to stop her from reporting on Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez's case. Okay? Because in their lawsuit, that's all they talk about is your case and what Milagro says on your behalf, right? Tory says, yeah. Caesar says, yeah, they said that, all kinds of shit, right? But I'm going to run through this real quick. Unite the People, Inc. was founded and exists to fight on behalf of the disadvantaged, the small, and the powerless against the Goliath organizations, corporations, or celebrities that want to push around and bully the Davids of the world, i.e. the people. Unite the People will not stand by and let an intractable justice system or a billion-dollar corporation led by popular celebrities take advantage of the small guy in an attempt to silence someone from their First Amendment right of freedom of speech. Unite the People, Inc. has agreed to take on the defense of Milagro Cooper, as well as any other social media influencer, journalism platform, journalist, podcast, or reporter of any type that has received this lawsuit against them, or any other form of bullying, harassment to silence them from their right of freedom of speech. Okay? Any such influencer, media person, or organization who has received a threat, an attempt to silence them from the same organization or corporation should contact Unite the People. So Tory says, so is this a statement or is this because it sounds like two things are going on. It sounds like you're saying, yo, we're representing Milagro. These are the things. These are the facts. This is the basis. And then you're saying, but if anybody else needs it, like, what is it? Is this like what is this? Caesar says, so it's a statement, right? What they're doing is we're putting out a statement saying that we're representing Milagro. It's a two-pronged thing. We're putting out a statement saying that we're representing Milagro, but then we're also stating that anybody else can, because you know they're targeting more people than just her. It was quite a few people that they're targeting, right? Tory says, yeah. So we're putting out a statement saying any of the rest of you guys that are being targeted by this, if you need assistance, contact us as well. Tory says, yeah, for sure. He says, do you get what I'm saying? Tory says, yeah, I get it. I get it. So what time are you guys going to post the indiscernible? I guess indiscernible could also be the shit up. I don't know. They couldn't make out what it says. He says, probably first thing in the morning. Blank told me to post this to my Instagram first, to the Unite the People Instagram, and she said post it early and then she'll send it over to TMZ. And I guess whoever else, there's a bunch of people. Rolling Stone, Daystar says something that can't tell. Caesar says, what's that? Blank was telling me like, yeah, I don't know if we should put the Milagro part in. So somebody was trying to tell him not to mention Milagro. Tory says if he should say that out publicly, he should say that out publicly, because at the end of the day, because he's saying I'm part of the board of advisory. So isn't that a conflict of interest? So he's pointing out even where this thing could be, maybe backfire on him, because he is a part of the board of advisory for Unite the People. Caesar says, no, you're not. You're not. This is a thing where blank. He says, Megan is suing Milagro, right? Tory says, yeah. He says, that don't have blank. You're done with Megan. It's Daystar Peterson against the Attorney General's office and the appellate courts. That's why we said, why the fuck was her lawyer even speaking up? She has nothing to do with this no more. You dig what I'm saying? Tory says, yeah. Caesar says the only conflict of interest would be if Milagro didn't know we had represented you. You dig what I'm saying? Tory says, okay. Caesar says it don't have nothing to do with you no more. What Blank was saying was, and I love Blank, but she will hesitate on a lot of this shit, right? Not even talking about this shit. This shit, like, she was like, yo, I think we should wait before we do this, and etc. Hello, Tory? Damn, this shit cut off exactly 11:30. Hello? Okay, we here have a declaration of custodian records. Scott Bernier. I'm a United States citizen over 18. I'm the custodian of records at the business name below. I'm otherwise qualified as a result of my position with the business name below to make this declaration. I am in receipt of a subpoena or other similar demand for documents requesting specified records of the business name below. Pursuant to Rules 902.11 and 803.6 of the Federal Rules of Evidence, I hereby certify that the records provided herewith and in response to the subpoena or other similar demand. So, looks like they received a subpoena from the courts, and we're going into what looks like Zelle records here. Okay? I may have to zoom in further for this shit. Token list, milagrograms@gmail.com. Start date, October 8th, 2020. End date, December 16th, 2024. Looks like some other transactions going into her Zelle are blanked out. However, October 28th, 2020, via Wells Fargo, we have Carlisle Peterson, aka Sunstar Peterson, from Chase. He sends to Mob Radio, LLC, Milagro Grams, delivered $500. Okay, we got on February 23rd, 2021, Wells Fargo, Carlisle Peterson, Mob Radio, $1,000. Comes back 2 days later, sends her another, $300? March 7th, 2021, he sends her another $200. And remember, this is to Mob Radio LLC. This is going to her business, not her personal. April 21st, 2021, Wells Fargo, Carlisle Peterson, $500 to Mob Radio. March 3rd, 2022, same thing, 500 sent. Okay? So those are the payments coming from Tory Lanez's father being sent to Milagro and her business, Mob Radio, and we also have the phone transcript saying how Carlisle Peterson and them had, I mean, not Carlisle, but how Unite the People and everybody had the press. They were going to reach out to TMZ, but clearly they were also paying off Milagro through his dad. And of course, Milagro's been out here doing their bidding, shitting on Megan Thee Stallion. Now, the overarching question to me is, I think that she may get the restraining order on Tory if they can prove that he gave Milagro directives. But I wonder how that fares in terms of Milagro's lawsuit. We understand that she received the payments. We understand that part. But I think there's going to have to be a little bit more direct evidence. And maybe they're compiling that because these are separate suits. Like Milagro Cooper's suit that Megan has is separate from this Tory Lanez. You know what I'm saying? She's just attacking them both in concurrency, but they're not the same, right? So I think that's gonna be the interesting part. I don't think Milagro is really gonna make it outstanding, but that's just what stands out to me, right? Because if there's an inmate that's trying to manipulate the public, manipulate the media, which they clearly have evidence of them stating on call as it pertains to Megan, then that could be something. But again, I'm not a legal professional to say what that something is or could be. So we're just going to have to sit back and wait a little longer and let the courts ponder upon this. All right. Let me know what y'all think about all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Become an insider. I still think it's crazy that she sold herself out for $3K, just an Andre 3K with no flute. But again, let me know what y'all think of this. All right, y'all. I'm out. More content on the way. Peace.
Yeah, king of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming, I swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden, they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but you run no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. When I catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.